Welcome gallery, staff and councillors to April's Richmond Valley Council Ordinary Meeting. I'll open the meeting with the acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture connections to land, their living culture and the unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our Richmond Valley community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Item 3 on the agenda is public access, and we have 2 requests this evening. The first one being by Ms Jill Lyons. She will address Council in relation to item 19.5, waste management update. Ms Lyons, would like to come forward, please. Welcome. I'm sure you know all the rules and we abide by here, so... You're good to go when you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, thanks. Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to speak on item 19.5, waste management update. On reading the options regarding the future of Cell 6, I'd like to voice my support for Council's decision on option 2. It appears to be the most sensible decision, especially when taking into account the approximate $1 million savings annually in comparison to our annual current costs. The time frame for the development of the new waste disposal capacity is noted as being 6 to 8 years. I would like to hope and ask that Council will use this time to explore other more positive, healthier options for the future of waste problems that will not include any form of incineration at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want any questions? Would you take questions? No questions? Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ms Liz Dobbs, and she will address Council in relation to item 15.1, Community Engagement Strategy and Framework 2024 to 2025, and also item 19.5, Waste Management Update. And you're ready, Ms Dobbs? Thank you.
I understand I've got 2 5-minute slots for
Yep.
this. Thank you. Well, me standing here is a form of community consultation, and I'm aware that Council isn't obliged to grant public access, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to address you at meetings. Council's community consultation objectives of enhanced communication, increased participation, building relationships, and addressing community needs are admirable and aspirational. However, in the past, it's often appeared to myself and others that Council has gone through the motions of satisfying legislative requirements and ticking the community consultation box without necessarily taking on board what the community is saying, especially if residents' opinions are different from those in Council. An example of this is when 60 people took the time and completed the reading and research to respond to the Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040 and the Draft Delivery Program 2023-25, only to have their very real concerns summarily dismissed during a Council meeting. Councillors and the Mayor expressed the opinion that it's only 60 people out of a population of 12,000. I consider it skewed logic to assume that the other 11,940 residents are in agreement with Council. How many of those are children or in nursing homes? How many were not even aware of the opportunity to comment? How many did not have the literacy skills or the time or the confidence to comment? Those 60 respondents were representative of many, many more. Why wouldn't Council welcome a range of views that could expand understanding of issues and build on potential responses to those issues? Rather than threaten its authority, the scope of Council could be enriched and enhanced in a truly democratic process. The perception by the community of not being listened to in a number of spheres has resulted in a general apathy. What's the point, or why bother, they won't take any notice attitude amongst many community members who feel powerless and effectively voiceless. One reason for this is the opportunities for comment almost always come at the end of the development process of any project, when it seems as though all decisions have been made and the consultation box needs ticking. If Council would truly like to involve the community, then please invite community participation at earlier stages. I do note, and did appreciate at the time, that Council invited community input at an earlier stage in the development of the draft Community Strategic Plan and the draft Delivery Program, which is why one of my questions is about how that input was collated and incorporated into Council strategies. Dr. Marcus Orellana, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Toxics and Human Rights, who was invited to Australia by the federal government in 2023, noted in his end of mission statement on September the 8th, 2023, underlying the distance between the state and communities is the perception of tokenistic engagement when public participation is reduced to a checklist instead of being conducive to genuine dialogue. Then one of the fundamental pillars of sustainable development begins to collapse, and when that happens, dialogue is replaced by anger and distrust. Anecdotal communications have led me to believe feelings of anger and distrust are widespread in the casino community. I hope that the community engagement objectives in this agenda are sincerely expressed and will be acted on inclusively. I think it will take some time and concerted effort to turn that anger and distrust around, but I look forward to Council achieving ongoing constructive dialogue with broad sections of the community. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank
issue.
you. When you're ready on the next item, carry on.
First up, I support option 2 in the Waste Management Update Report. This option is financially conservative while allowing time for Council to explore a range of waste management strategies that don't involve incineration and work towards a circular economy and zero waste. A true circular economy goes hand in hand with zero waste strategies. I'd like to point out the example of Hunters Hill, with a population of 14,700 and a high percentage of social housing, similar to Casino. A 2020 report outlined an extremely successful major project titled Yarn that was underpinned by circular economy principles and objectives. The project identified potential for redirecting particular waste streams to be remanufactured and repurposed into long-lasting items such as shelving and tabletops. It was embraced by the general community and supported in its implementation by relevant businesses. According to Lisa Miss Campbell, the General Manager of Hunters Hill LGA, being smaller can be an advantage when addressing problems and achieving their solutions. Alternative waste treatment systems, or energy from waste incinerators, were deemed part of a circular economy by the former New South Wales government on the grounds of reuse of resources. However, a comment from Dr. Orellana, who I mentioned before, was that the term circular economy has been co-opted and abused. An example of this abuse is the New South Wales government legitimising energy from waste incineration as an inclusion in a circular economy, reasoning that it satisfies the reuse criteria because burning waste material produces energy. As Dr. Orellana said, waste incineration is the end of the line for fossil fuels. It reflects a linear process that is incompatible with a circular economy. Incineration imposes heavy health and other costs on local communities, and it is a significant source of greenhouse gases. It has been reported that even the most modern incinerators produce dioxins, furans, and toxic ash. Energy from waste incineration in the form of an alternative waste treatment system would threaten the circular economy's objectives. It's a one-way process that destroys the resource it burns and discourages adoption of reuse, upcycling and recycling. The European Parliament report on the Circular Economy Action Plan warns that building overcapacity of waste incineration could hamper the development of a circular economy. Higher environmental performance waste management solutions that embrace the zero waste goals, such as waste prevention, reuse and recycling, are now encouraged and being financed. In the EU, the Recovery and Resilience Facility, which came into effect in 2021, aiming to mitigate the economic and social impact caused by the coronavirus pandemic, provided €672.5 billion in loans and grants to support EU member states to build more resilient and sustainable economies. A list of measures that do no significant harm was produced in the guidelines for appropriate funding by the European Commission. The construction of new waste incinerators was presented as an example of non-compliance with the do no significant harm principle, as it would threaten the transition to a circular economy, and therefore they were excluded from funding. The European Investment Bank Group developed a Climate Bank Roadmap which provides guidelines for climate and sustainable development finance. It's aligned with the do no significant harm principle, and as a result, waste incineration is excluded from its financial support. According to Lisa McLean, CEO of the not-for-profit Circular Australia, the push towards a circular economy requires big systems transitions. During the webinar titled Going Circular, Rethinking Plastics in Your Business, in February 2024, hosted by Southern Cross University, she stated that we need to decouple economic growth from the consumption of finite resources, and that can be achieved in three ways in a circular economy. First, design out waste and pollution at the source. Next, keep materials in the economy at their highest value for as long as possible. And finally, regenerate natural systems. Council has publicly demonstrated its support for energy from waste many times, beginning in March 2019, when the Mayor stated in the general meeting agenda, a detailed report is being prepared to inform the next steps in pursuing the introduction of energy from waste to the Northern Rivers of New South Wales. More recently, mention of an energy from waste incinerator renamed as an alternative waste treatment system was peppered throughout the draft Regional Job Precinct Master Plan suite of documents without any elaboration as to where one might be located, what its capacity would be, where the waste would come from, how it would be transported, or where the waste ash would be stored. During the community information session on the master plan held at Casino on the 21st of February, attendees were told that the prior designation of the RJP as a suitable site for AWTS means such a facility is already permissible in the RJP. Until Council opposes the introduction of a waste-to-energy incinerator in the Richmond Valley and the permissibility of one in the Regional Jobs Precinct is removed, waste incineration will continue to be viewed as a real threat. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your address. Is there any questions? No, thank you very much.
So do you want me to ask my questions that I submitted?
This section usually doesn't have questions, but it's usually come and address council, but if the General Manager is willing to take them.
Yeah, so Ms Stops submitted some questions which, without adjustments we made to our code, would basically take these on notice, and you will get a written response to them within 7 days of the meeting, and those responses will go to our councillors.
I wasn't aware of that change. Thank you anyway.
Thank you very much. You have a copy of the questions and they'll be replied to. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4, apologies, and we have an apology from Councillor Deegan. Could I get a mover for that, please?
Moves, Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, second.
Second.
Councillor Cornish. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Mr General Manager, I noticed tonight we have the new faces at the meeting. Could you introduce them, please?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of our directors taking a break this week. So we have Sharon Banning stepping up as our Acting Director of Community Service Delivery. Sharon is generally looking after our customer experience team, so does a great job with that. So a good opportunity for Sharon joining us. And we also have Luke Fleming stepping up for Ryan Gator as our Acting Director of Organisational Services. And we've also got Hayley Martin with us this evening, who is our Principal Accountant. So good opportunities for our staff to step into those roles and see what it's like to join the executive team. So thanks for joining us.
And we'll try to go as easy as we can on you. I'll now turn the page to my mayoral minute, and I'll move that. If I can get a seconder, please.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Councillor, it's rather explanatory. As I said, in the rail trail opening 4 weeks ago, since then it's been a huge success. There's been over 3,000 movements on that rail. And I can tell you, I spoke to people from way down in Sydney up into central Queensland. They think I'm a bit of a serial inquisitive person because I like to ask them where they're from, what they're doing and how long they're staying and where they're going, and it's very interesting to talk to them and get to meet them. But as I was on many occasions ridden or walked the trail, I started thinking about the area that we go through, and that report does explain a bit of that, some of the history there, but in the last week or so I've actually been ringing around and finding out a bit of information about that area out to Bentley. So I've written a few notes there that from some of the information I have received that I'd like to share with you. And if anyone that was at the opening of the rail trail, I gave a pretty comprehensive history of around the old casino precinct, so I won't go there again. But there's a lot of history there that needs to be told and kept. After you leave there, the first station was at North Casino, which has already been signposted, and I believe there was a railway house near where there are some mango trees out there. Further on the trail, you will come to an area where in 1866, Edward Norton took up 320 acres near the Gap, hence the name Norton's Gap. At the underpass of Norton's Gap Road, the primary school building is nearby on the corner of Stones Road, now used as a residential property. About a kilometre further along, 100 metres from the southern entrance of the tunnel, was the site of the Norton's Gap railway station, and there's a lot of people didn't know there was one existing, with the post office being 200 metres back along Stones Road. And the station mustn't have been very long, as I've been told in jest that the Norton's Gap station sign was actually longer than the station. As mentioned in the report, post-Second World War, a large influx of Italian immigrants came to Norton's Gap. There were well over 40 families settling in this area, growing bananas and other small crops. At the end of the Richmond Valley section of the trail is at Bentley, where there was a post office and railway station with a track siding. 2 times a week, the banana train would leave Mooloolaba and pick up bananas from members of the Banana Growers Federation, the BGF, at various locations for the Sydney markets. One of these sites was the Bentley railway siding, where the Norton's Gap bananas would be loaded, being overseen by the post office manager. Where the rail trail crosses Back Creek to the Lismore section, there is a steel-structured bridge. A section of this bridge came from the first railway bridge in Casino, which was replaced with the current bridge. It's believed that transporting this section of the bridge I'm not sure whether it was on by bullock team or by truck. It became bogged on Queensland Road, where it stayed for 4 months until it dried up enough to be salvaged. Now, as can be seen, there's a lot of history on this section of the rail trail, which I believe should be displayed for everyone to enjoy and be aware of, and I ask councillors for support of this recommendation so this occurs. Any other speakers?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Just in relation to the 3,000 people, as with everything that's involved with numbers, there's always the doubters. But I realise that there are counters on the rail trail which give you figures of how many cycles have been passed through there.
There are 3 counters there.
Thank you. And just in relation to the Norton's Gap with the banana plantations, as a young boy I went with my cousin Gary Townsend. He used to have a cream run, and those hills at Norton's Gap were covered in bananas. So that's just a bit of history from my perspective.
Thank you. Any other speakers? I don't need to write a reply. I'll put that motion and all those in favour. Carried. Thank you. Item 6, confirmation of the minutes. Could I get a move of the minutes of 19th of March?
I'll move.
Councillor Hayes, seconder. Councillor McGillen. Everyone agree with the accuracy of the minutes? I'll put that motion and all those in favour. Over the page to page 8, matters arising out of the minutes. Any matters arising? No, we'll move on then. Declarations of interest. Has any councillor got a declaration of interest?
Mr Mayor,
Councillor Humphries.
14.1, the showgrounds and racecourse. So it's a non-pecuniary, non-significant. I'm just a key organiser of an event that's coming up there at the end of the month. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other declarations? Mr General Manager, have you received any from staff?
No, nothing received.
Thank you. Petitions. There's no petitions. We'll now move to page 9, item 10, notice of motion. We have one there from Councillor McGillen. Councillor McGillen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Do I just read that part there where it said, I, Councillor McGillen?
Can you move it?
Yes. Okay. I just move it?
And Councillor Hayes is seconding?
Yes.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. First time doing it.
When you're ready, Councillor McGillen.
Okay. On Anzac Day this year, Corico will be welcoming a special guest called Peter Percy. Peter Percy's uncle, Mr Gordon James Percy, was a defence a distinguished Flying Cross recipient. Mr Gordon Percy received the highest award for his heroism and extraordinary achievements. This great honour to have Peter, his nephew, join the march, wearing his uncle's medals. Mr Gordon Percy's family will be coming from all over the world to celebrate this wonderful event. Corico is a small community and we are about to be showcased to the world, so we need to be sure that our town will be well represented for this important day of our annual calendar event. My concern is the representation and the state and repair of the museum building. Yes, I do understand that it has had some repairs, but it still needs a whole lot more before the date, because that's where the medals are stored, and the community and the families will be in the building. So just want it to look, pretty presentable. And the family, and our community also will be marching past the Richmond Terrace towards the cenotaph, and it would be good to see a planned repairs to the children's playing ground completed before the ceremony, so the area is well presented. And also, I didn't realise, but the gondola could do with a good clean up as well. Yes, I know there was repairs during the week, but that's where people will be congregating, and it would be nice to look tidy for the community.
A pressure clean or something like that.
Yeah, well, the tables are all sticky. You lose at least 5 layers of dermis just when you go to lift your hand up. So Yeah, so if we could have that noted, that would be good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes,
Yeah,
second.
look, I think Councillor McMillan's notice of motions, very community-based. Been on council now for going on 12 years, and our council has always been involved in Anzac Day, and the staff have always prepared the venues. You know, they've always been brilliant on the day. I've attended a few different ones, and I know everyone else has attended everywhere. And look, we strive to keep those things, in the community's eyes as upkept in that for Anzac Day. Now, I can see what you're asking for with the museum and the park, but I think that might be outside the scope of Anzac Day. But other than that, I think, yeah, let's see what we can do.
Well, even if you just put some bark there just to make it look, inviting, just something.
They usually have red poppies and that down there, things like that. Yeah.
Yes, that's a community thing as well, the little crocheted poppies, and they put them in the hedges so it brings it into that, that zone. But it's still got to walk past the playground, and it's looking pretty sad.
I'd just like to say that what Councillor Hayes touched on, we do present our cenotaphs very well, and something else I'm very proud of. Since I've been mayor, we've always had a council representative at one function in each town through the day, and that will continue this year. So, any other speakers? Right, a reply? Okay, I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. The delegates report, my mayoral report, just on page 10. I'll move that.
I'll second, Mr Mayor.
Any business arising out of that?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I've had a bit of spare time on my hands in the last little while. I've just got a couple of things here, hope it's easy enough. On the 18th of March, the Northern Rivers Community Leaders Forum, was there anything to come out of that in relation to Richmond Valley Council?
No, there is a new acting CEO, have I got that correct? Mr Mel Lanyon, who has been appointed. He was up here during, or not long after the floods. He's a very high-ranking police officer, and he'll be filling that role. That's most probably, I think that the Reconstruction Authority may take a little bit of a new direction, which will be a good thing.
On the 25th, the NRJO vision for regional and disaster adaptation planning. What is the vision?
That was also it was a NRJO collaborated meeting, but the RA actually were doing all the information and supplying all that adaptation plans. And where, as you know, we have got funding to do the adaptation plan down the Lower River with our place plans. This is more regional, so I'd say they now have an acting CEO that might get a reboost along some different ways or something. But I must say I can notice there's an improvement in the staff with the RA, most probably over the last, even before Mr Lanyon arrived, over the last month or so. There's been a few staff changes and it has improved.
Thank you. On the 26th of March, the Mid-Richmond Neighbourhood Centre and Qantas Computer Distribution
Yes,
event.
they were, it was held at the Woodburn Hub, and the Mid-Richmond Neighbourhood Centre coordinate, and the Qantas actually paid for the program, which was 100 business computers, had been revamped. I'm not an IT person, but they'd all been changed and brought up to date and everything, and they were handed out free to flood-affected people, not only in the Richmond Valley, because I've seen some boxes there that had Mullumbimby and Nimbin and that, so it's around the whole area. So, but I think Richmond Valley got more than anywhere else, I think. So.
Thank you. On the 27th, the Productivity Commissioner visit Casino.
Yes, the Productivity Commission and the chair or President, Chair?
He's actually the Productivity Commissioner, Peter
Commissioner.
Arkestrat.
He attended casino at our wastewater treatment plant. It was a good opportunity to show him that that treatment plant is around 90 years old. It has been upgraded. It's still meeting its EPA requirements, but it's starting to come to its use-by date. And if we want to have the growth we propose to have in the coming years, that will definitely need an upgrade, and it will need funding from the government. And it was a good opportunity to himself and 3, I think, other people attended with him. So they were he was very, very interested, wasn't he? Yeah, he was ducking and diving and looking under here and everything, so he was very, very interested. So hopefully that will kick a few goals for us in the future. And the other one was a meeting in Lismore. It was mainly around water. Councillor Humphreys accompanied me to that because she's also on Rouse, and we gave him an update on what our future water strategies are, not only for here but also for Rouse, and there was other councils in the room. And then after that we had some staff attend, and they went into after lunch they went into a staff session. So we're out there trying for water and sewer, and I would say we're waving the flag pretty strong.
And last one, on the 2nd of April, meeting with Senator Jenny McAllister, and then a slash ride section of the rail trail. So she wouldn't have just been here for the ride in the section of the rail trail.
Senator McAllister was in town for the opening of the St Mary's Catholic College Mercy Centre, and while she was here she took an advantage to enjoy the rail trail, which I supplied a couple of bikes for, and we went for a ride, only her road, and we rode out from the old casino station out onto the gravel section for about a few hundred metres. So I wanted to show her the horse, the bridle path, and she was interested where all the funding comes from. We told her the history, and she's wanted to know the program. I said, well, unfortunately that program, I think when the change of government, it's gone now, that program. But I did chew her ear as we were riding along about the importance for not only the Richmond Valley but the whole region to get that rail trail extended from Lismore to the Byron Bay boundary. That's very important, and then right through Byron Bay local government area, so people can ride from Wollongbar to Casino and tap into the full potential of all the tourists, the 2 million tourists that go to Byron Bay, and all southern Queensland, where there's most probably 4 to 5, and northern New South Wales, 4 to 5 million people. And she was very, very interested, and her parents live in Wollongbar, so she knows the area, and I don't think that ride along the road with her done any harm.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's it.
Thank you. Delegates' reports, no delegates' reports. Matters determined without debate. Has any councillor got any items they'd like to discuss? All right, I've got 14.1, 15.1 and 15.2. So that leaves, I'll call 17.1 to turn the page. I'll move that. Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Humphreys. Councillors, everyone can see it's a very comprehensive report. This has taken a while to happen, but as we know, we've had a few disasters on the way. But $14.4 million injected into our community and the region is very, very great for our economy. The venue, I do frequent it. It's fantastic. It will be, in years to come, one of the best equine centres in the world when we get all the cobwebs dusted off, and every big project, when you're talking millions and millions of dollars, always has those cobwebs to dust off. You never get it correct the first time. But we have got a good relationship out there with the user groups. I believe there's been some meetings recently, Mr. General Manager. Went very well. We've set the price regime and the management regime for the next 12 months, because it's going to take at least that to work through all the nicks and grannies that have to be sorted out. So I'm looking forward to Saturday for the official opening, and I'd welcome anyone in the community or the gallery and staff and councillors to please come out and enjoy the day and have a look around the facility. I noticed on Facebook the other night, the General Manager put some photos up of the lights on, and it was unbelievable. There was only one thing on. I wasn't there to see them live. I had to see them on Facebook, but that's fine. They're on and they're burning. Would you like to make a comment? Or any?
It was a test run. I wasn't there either, actually. But I've got plenty of, or we've got plenty of good staff who manage up on many different issues, and they know that site is a very important project for us. And we've had, I think, as the report sort of talks about, we've obviously had some late curveball, which with the unfortunate voluntary administration of the head contractor there being AGS Commercial. And so we've had to make some adjustments to be able to proceed with the opening this Saturday, and one of those includes some adjusted arrangements to make sure that the lights do turn on, because we not only have the opening, but we have an event the following weekend that needs lighting, and we obviously want that facility available. So it was pleasing that's working. There's a lot of activity out there this week to some of those final touches. There's a couple of elements that won't be finished due to that issue that we've faced, but we are working closely with the administrator and you know, the subcontractors and the user groups, so that we can get it all finalised as quickly as we can. But the majority, you know, I'd say sort of 80 to 90% of that facility is totally functional. We're working closely with all the stakeholders, and we'll continue to do that to capitalise on the opportunity. I think it's a really exciting project. So I just want to pass on thanks to our team who has delivered that project over the last couple of years. There's been a lot involved, and we've had to work with our user groups to have it available at different stages throughout that period. I think, and as you suggested, yep, there's still some issues we need to resolve out there, but we'll be doing everything we can to get it right so that we can fully capitalise on the investment that has been put into the facility.
I have a question. I mentioned it was $14.4 million in total. Usually when you get that kind of money, you need to make a capital contribution as a council, as we all know. What was council's contribution to this?
$30,000 was our contribution to, I think it was to complete one of the elements. We've been very fortunate with this project to get the funding under that Bushfire Local Economic Recovery Fund. We got 8.2 up front, and because it was well progressed and really at the head of the pack under that fund, we secured an extra 4.6, which enabled us to finish more elements of the master plan, but also to meet some of the compliance enhancement things that we needed to do. So it's got everything from fire safety, internal access roads, irrigation systems in the main arena, but also the sand track with the race course, and we'll be doing everything we can to potentially add a ring main to the outside of the racetrack so that we can be better positioned to make sure that surface is in good shape all round. We've got some issues there that we're working to resolve, and that's one of the things that will reduce the risk of it happening in the future. So there's things that, we're learning along the way, and it's really about making sure we maximise that investment. The other funds came out of a couple of Crown lands and a showground stimulus program. So I think it's an example of having, if you've got a plan, you've got a master plan, you've got plan of management and a business case, it positions you well to be successful in securing funding. So, getting 14.4 for that was a good achievement for us. So we just got to capitalise on it.
Especially with a 30,000 investment. So. Any other speakers?
Yes,
Councillor
thank you.
Humphries.
I'd just like to make a comment. The 14.4 million, then I've always thought of that extra 4.6 as a bonus, but I know it was a lot of hard work went into actually getting that, but what a wonderful bonus to get for that project. And as the General Manager said, the extra funding has ensured that we could complete the upgrade and do some other essential work. Also in the report it details the licence agreements going forward, and it's really important to ensure that we have a smooth transition with the operation of this facility as it is. A facility in the report, it's unique. No other regional facility has the council, the showground, the racecourse, the race club dynamic as this casino site. The fees will be set, they'll be looking at those at our May meeting. They will go on public exhibition, and we'll be inviting our community for further comment and ideas with that. I think it's really good to set out our aims. We're looking to, because there's going to be heavy depreciation and it's more a community facility, we'll be looking at really getting more people out there to have events where we can be making money to make it come together. And another positive is that Council is establishing that new Invest and Live team by the end of this month. So it's really going to progress into something magnificent, I believe.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Just in right of reply, I'd just like to mention that, and Councillor Humphries touched on it, I did say earlier it will be the best equine centre, and it will be, in the Northern Rivers, on the North Coast. But we also need to look outside of that box and have other events coming to our area and bring tourists and people in. And the first meeting, the first event, official event after the official opening, but the first event will be a country music muster, which I think is a great start and happy, and then it'll be followed very soon by some other events, I'm sure. But when you couple this and the tourist attraction and the money this can bring into our economy, and you put it with the rail trail, they're two vital cogs in our community's economy going forward. And I know there's a lot, I know because I get comments from other mayors, there's a lot of other councils would love to have this in their backyard. So we're very, very fortunate. And in saying that, it's not only being fortunate, it's having skilled staff and a dedicated council to get this job done, and a community you can work with. Because I believe the rail trail and the showground upgrade, the majority of our community, and you're always going to have those naysayers, but the majority of our community were behind council for these two projects, and in coming years they will pay off. I'm 100% sure they will. You have to have a long vision ahead. So we've talked about the extra 4.6 million allocation. I think we undersell ourselves a little bit on that. I know that there was other areas that had grants and could not deliver those projects. So the money was reallocated, and because our staff and council and contractors were so far down the track and ahead of the game, that money was allocated to Richmond Valley. And that's allowed that facility out there to be built to its full capacity almost. And I'd like to congratulate Mr General Manager, all those people involved in that, and please pass that on behalf of Council. And when we see an arena that is 40 by 80 with a seating capacity of 2,500 people, you know it's a big deal. So, well done everyone, and thanks very much. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. 15.1, I'll move that. I've got to get a seconder, please. Councillor Cornish. Councillors, I mainly call this because we had a presentation in public access. So there was a lot of comments made. I'd just like to ask the General Manager if he'd like to just reply to some of those, if you don't mind, thanks. Put you on the spot.
Oh, look, I've got a bit of an overview, I suppose, of a couple of, obviously the importance of this strategy and, and the fact that as a council we are committed to open engagement, and we do it on a regular basis in a whole range of ways to inform, what are our key issues and therefore what are the future directions. We do that on a whole range of plans and strategies and proposals. From the community strategic plan through to our sustainability strategy, economic development plans. Currently, we're consulting on our mid-Richmond place plans, and that's had quite an extensive engagement process through Broadwater, Woodburn, Evans Head, and Coraki. And there to date, we do have an engagement outcomes report that's been prepared to assist us with that. That will go, and that's feeding into the draft place plans that will then go on public exhibition and give people another opportunity to see whether we have whether we've got that draft plan right, and it's another opportunity for feedback. So look, we do early consultation. Often you find with early consultation, if it's an open book, some people, and again, we're talking about consulting with 23,500 people across the Richmond Valley. They need, a draft with specific ideas is, for some people, easier to comment on. So they actually got something to contemplate, consider, and give feedback on. So I think the important point is there's a range of ways that we do that. We've done that recently with the regional jobs precinct consultation, a range of forums. So we certainly do a whole range of consultation. We do phone surveys. We're all in the community. We talk to people. We go to sporting groups. We engage with a whole range of people and consider that feedback. You all receive those submissions through any of those processes to make sure that you have the opportunity to read the detail of what each individual submits. But we also then consolidate that into summaries of what are those key issues, and in fact when you go to page 12 of our community strategic plan, that gives a summary of what are those key things. What are the foundation issues of protecting the Richmond River, obviously maintaining our roads and footpaths and other things. Emerging issues like housing affordability, a real desire to increase shade trees and public seating. So they're just a couple of examples that come from a range of activities that we do and that feeds into the objectives that we've identified in our community strategic plan. And then we get on with delivering those things. To touch on Ms Stopp's comments around energy from waste, or as she refers to that as an incinerator, I'd have to say this council has listened, and yes, you were quoted in 2019 as having a position, and that was the case. The position has shifted, and this council did make a resolution in December 2022 to pause active investigations and to monitor what is happening elsewhere. For mine, that's a responsible position to take. At the moment, these facilities are permissible in New South Wales in 4 areas in line with the EPA requirements, which are based on the chief scientist and engineer's very detailed work on these facilities. State government policy, which was previously a coalition government and is now a Labor government, is that these facilities can happen. So this council's taken the position to sit back and monitor what's happening elsewhere, in particular in parks, where there is some active procurement processes to see whether one of these facilities can happen in New South Wales and monitor what actually happens. There's a whole range of research out there, and I think the key point is let's see what happens, and that is likely to be 5, if not 10 years down the track. So I think it's important to have that position clear, and we have listened. We have taken that step, and it'll be up to, it's up to this council whether you want to adjust that position or whether future councils want to adjust that position, depending on whether there's any movement at the state government level as far as whether those facilities fit into the circular economy, which at the moment they currently do. So we have our plans put on exhibition. We do that. I've touched on the fact that the writ submissions, you all receive those. And look, at the end of the day, there's a whole range of things that you have to consider and that we, as your, I suppose, professional staff and advisors, put forward and manage these projects so that you can make decisions that are in the best interests of the 23,500 people who live in the Richmond Valley. And that's often a challenge on all sorts of different levels in the number of submissions and responses that you receive. And that's your job, is to think about what is in the best interests of the whole demographic of the whole number of people who live in this valley. So I think overall it is a challenge. You're never going to satisfy everyone, and it's a balance, and that's what we aim to achieve.
Thank you. Any other speakers? I'll put that motion and all those in favour. Carried. 15.2, I will move that recommendation with, on the end of it, from public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days. Just add for a minimum of 28 days, please.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'm not going to speak on that because it is going out to public consultation and we'll come back to council.
Can I just ask a generalised question around that plan and the funds that go into those plans? At what point in time and at what intervals do councillors get to reassess where that money's heading and going to be spent? Is there a program, or is it just pop up when we're ready, or is it legislated, or?
It can be reviewed, can't it? Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, that can be assessed at any time the councillors wish.
A councillor can bring it to a workshop or something, as required.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify, it would still need to be a
council.
A resolution of council, not
Yeah.
just changed at a workshop. Yeah, sorry, just to make sure that was clear.
Other speakers? Put that motion, all those in favour? Carried. Page 23, 17.1, I'll move that. Seconder,
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Councillors, I'd just like to say on page 23, the value gains and fixed bonds rates and the interest is far exceeding our budget earlier in the year because we weren't sure what interest rates were going to do. So that's a very healthy return to council, and yeah, it's very promising, and let's hope that that continues to happen. So we've got more money to distribute for our community. Any other speakers? That motion and all those in favour? Carried. Page 27, matters for information. Could I get a mover, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Seconder?
Second.
Councillor Humphries. Does any councillor have any items they'd like to?
Yes, Mr Mayor. 19.2. Just taking the opportunity while Ms Benning is here for her responsible officer. These reports are always pretty good reading, and one of the key things in this one is the One Road key statistics. So, well done.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. We appreciate your support.
Any other speakers? I'll just endorse that. It's a very comprehensive and pleasing report. And on many occasions, as we know, some of these staff are the first contact point for council. And it's great to see that they've exceeded, in some cases, their set targets. So it's well done. And I was a bit surprised, actually, by some of the figures for the concierge, how many they've had. So it's very promising. So could you pass that, or Mr General Manager, could you pass that on to those staff members, please? Thank you. Is there any other items? I'll just make a couple of comments, most probably General Manager did say a few of the points on energy from waste and our waste management update. As it said there, we have now got a new cell out there that is needed and will be needed into the future. That could give us the space for void space for 10 to 15 years. So that gives us, Richmond Valley Council and the residents, security. I know there are other councils who are running out of not only void space, but they're running out of an area to put a new cell in. And they will have to start looking at other sites. And when you go away from an existing site, it's very, very hard, and a lot of constraints and EPA regulations and environmental regulations. So we're in a good place for the next 10 to 15 years. And in saying that, as the report addresses, future councils, most probably 2 or 3 down the track, will 2 down the track will really need to start looking at the future for waste management in our area. And as we know, we all are pushing hard for other alternatives, especially recycling. And I think that really needs to be a key focus going forward. I'm just looking for a couple of here. So as a General Manager, it's just a shame that energy from waste keeps poking its head up. But I just want to give you a bit of history. On the 21st of September 21, there was a motion moved by Councillor Jill Lyons and seconded by Councillor Daniel Simpson and this motion would have allowed for investigations in energy waste for the Richmond Valley to continue. On 15th of November 2022, under this council, it was moved by Councillor Deb McGillan and Councillor Robert Hayes, a 5-part motion, and 2 of those, number 3 and number 4, read, pauses its active investigations, the council pauses its active investigations in an energy from waste facility for the Richmond Valley while the Park Special Activation Precinct proposal proceeds and the council monitors progress, community reactions and outcomes. And for me, those outcomes, personally, would be monitoring emissions. So that would not occur until there was, this is my view, until if there was ever an energy from waste facility built at Parks. Now, I'm told that there has not even been a DA lodged for Parks yet. And that's 2 years down the track now since that resolution. So by the time a DA was lodged and all the environmental issues you'd have to go through, the building, getting the expertise, I would say that could be 7 to 8 to 10 years before that a council that I believe, if they keep that resolution, would have to even consider that. And personally, I'm neither for an energy from waste or against an energy from waste. To me, it's a bit like the Dunoon Dam. You must have all the options on the table. The Dunoon Dam's got recycling, it has desalination, and bore water, but you cannot move one until all the studies are done on those. And we have to have an open mind and have everything on the table so a future council in 6, 8, 10 years can make a decision going forward. And until me, personally, until that was done and these emissions are monitored, it's very hard to know what's going to happen. And you can't do a investigation on a proposal, and Richmond Valley has never ever had and has not got a proposal from an energy from waste, and we've shouted that from the rooftops, but for some reason there's people in our community do not want to listen to that. There is no proposal, so you can't answer anything about a proposal, and if there was a proposal, it wouldn't be looked at under this resolution until the emissions could be monitored. And this council won't be doing it. I very much doubt the next council will have to address an energy from waste. And part 4 of that I mentioned from Councillor McGillan and Councillor Hayes was council continues to consider other options in alternative waste treatment solutions expressions of interest response and keep North Coast councils updated on any progress and opportunities for collaboration. As I said earlier, there's other councils reaching their end of life. But for that for me is very important, that item 4, because we all know as science and technology improves, there's going to be more alternatives coming onto the sector, and this council has to be, as I said, have all those options on the table and be ready to look at everything there. So I just wanted to get that out there. Council has not got a proposal for an energy from waste, and it will not be the next council, and may not even be the council after, that will be looking at one. And until that occurs, I could not support an energy from waste investigation. Any other speakers?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to say how interested I am in hearing that Ms Lyons and Ms Stopps now are supporting option 2 there. I too support option 2. And during the last election period, I spent time telling people exactly what's written, pretty much word for word, in option 2 there, I was saying that council, this Richmond Valley Council, was investing more than $10 million on Cell 6, which would give us 10 plus years and put us in that really comfortable place, a better place than many, to keep looking at options for waste. So it was a good result here tonight to hear the ladies supporting option 2.
Thank you. Councillor Morrissey.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, could I just have a bit more information on the second last paragraph, I think, the security of the cell liner in relation to the 2 metre lift of waste, if you don't mind, please.
Mr General Manager.
Just an explanation.
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So with the construction of Cell 6, pretty simply, we can't just start piling the waste in like without a bit of a plan. So we've got to do a certain level of it that covers the whole bottom of the floor of the cell, and it binds to the bottom surface of the cell. And then after that, we can weigh up how quickly we fill it and where are the best plans to, like the various bits where to fill it. So essentially, it's just another layer at the bottom of the cell, but it's made up of waste. Yep, and it's shaped and put in properly. So, yeah.
Thank you, Director Seller.
Has any other councillor got any item on matters for information? If not, I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Page 50, questions on notice is nil. 21, questions for the next meeting in writing.
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey.
As I said before, I've had a little bit of time on my hands lately. I've just been sort of cruising around the area. I've noticed that the courthouse flood repair works, I don't know whether they're almost completed or how they're going, but is there any word on when the court will be operational again, please?
I have not got any information. Maybe the General Manager may be able to help us. Mr General Manager, if you...
Do my best. I might have an email here somewhere. Just bear with me a second.
You must have more time on your hands than me, because I hadn't noticed that.
I have.
We'd noticed that the job looked like it had been done, so we asked the question of a contact at the Lismore Court, who pleasingly has advised that the repairs and upgrades are being completed. It's actually reopened for registry services, and the aim is to recommence court sittings from the 9th of May. So, yeah, nice outcome to have that back in action. I know quite a number of people who obviously support and operate and with that court will be pleased with that outcome. We look forward to that happening on the 9th of May, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions for the next meeting in writing? No? We'll now move to page 51, matters referred to closed council. I need a motion to go into...
Move, Mr Mayor.
Second.
Mr General Manager, has been any written representation made regarding this meeting going to closed council?
Nothing received.
Thank you. Are there any verbal representations from the members of the public? None. Thank you very much for your attendance. We'll now go into closed council. For those not coming back in, have a safe trip home. Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. General Manager, could you...
Hang on, we'll just check the IT.
Oh.
All good? Oh, hang on.
Mr General Manager, could you ask the Director to, or a staff member to read the resolutions of closed council, please?
I certainly can do that. I'll let Acting Director Fleming read the first one, and
Through Mr Mayor.
actually
Ben's
between
first.
yourself and our principal accountant.
What order
can
are
I
they
read
in?
those two?
What order are they in?
They're both
Oh, both. Okay.
in the same
Thank you.
directorate. So
Yep, thank you.
over to you.
So through Mr Mayor, matter referred to closed council 22.1, tender VP 391513, supply and delivery of quarry products. Our recommendations that council appoints the 11 successful tenders for VP 391513, supply and deliver quarry products, to its panel of suppliers, accepting the rates tendered to provide various materials for works up to the value of $149,999, including GST, for the period 1st April 2024 to 31st of March 2025. And number 2 recommendation, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary. Thank you.
And item 22.2, Loan Borrowing Program 2023-2024. Recommendation that council authorise the borrowing of $2.6 million for the funding of the construction of Cell 6 at Namoona Landfill and stormwater improvements to Illawong Lane, Evans Head, as previously adopted as part of council's current delivery program and in line with the content of this report. And 2, authorise the General Manager to sign required contracts and documents and to affix the council seal as needed to any documents to execute the loan borrowings with the preferred financial institution as outlined in this report.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending and watching online. And before I close the meeting, I would like to wish Councillor Hayes a very happy and enjoyable 60th birthday. That closes the meeting. Everyone have a safe trip home. Thank you.